Hey, what's up YouTube friends and family? It's Cousin Ryan, and I'm starting this video with an amendment to what I've already filmed and done because I know my buddy Gabe, you know him as El Compa, is going to criticize me because I'm not skilled at explaining things very well as I'm working on something. So I got to go back. As I edited the video I already filmed, I realized I missed a few key points, and I know I'm going to see Gabe tomorrow, and he's going to say, dude, I would have really liked to have known da 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 da.
Shut up! You don't think Ryan is famous?
Cousin Ryan.
You gotta.
We're going back here. I'm going to explain to you why we were putting headers on this motor a little better than I did. So this is the factory exhaust manifold that came off of the motor. Each one of these is an exhaust port, or it hooks to the exhaust port on the motor. So the exhaust from cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, all feeds into one cast iron manifold here. Whereas the headers, you can see, have an individual tube. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well down here. Each have an individual tube for each exhaust port, and they all go into a collector here. That aids in exhaust flow out of the motor, and it doesn't. Just picture it like a 4-lane freeway as opposed to a 2-lane. All the cars crammed into one lane or into 2 lanes. It's always better if you have 4 lanes, right? It can aid in the flow of traffic. So the exhaust is the traffic coming out of the motor. You got 4 lanes, or you got 4 lanes feeding into 1 lane. That's the benefit to the headers there. I mentioned in the video that we might not see much of a gain on this motor because it's just a stock 302, but this is for future use when we do get our 351 in here. Not in here, but in the station wagon. And then the other thing I didn't film, the oxygen sensors I had talked about screw into this little port right here, and you can see where I screwed them into the adapter. And here, this little piece right here is the oxygen sensor, monitors the air fuel mixture coming out of the exhaust and adjusts the mixture going into the motor accordingly. Gosh, I hope that's it. I hope that's it, Gabe. Let me know tomorrow at work when you can say, oh dude, I really would have liked to have known this. So whatever Gabe tells me I should have said, I will put down in either the description or the comments. So until then, enjoy the process here of swapping out these old manifolds for the new headers. We're going to put some headers on our 302. Remove the old exhaust manifolds. This is a standard 302. It's not the HO, it's not the high output. That's why it's got these old exhaust manifolds on it from the factory. John and I found factory short tube headers in the junkyard, and we're going to swap those over. I don't know that it's a huge gain, but I'm kind of wanting to put our Ectomobile project together with future plans in mind of putting a 351 Windsor in there, which will bolt right in. All this stuff will bolt right up. The headers will be for the 351 and not necessarily for this 302, but just trying to get everything in line for future upgrades. So let's see, I'm doing this now because I want to make sure everything fits. The Derby car here is a 59 Fairlane. It was a sedan at one point in its life, and it's got the same engine compartment. Almost everything's the same as the station wagon, other than the station wagon specific parts of the body. And so this motor will bolt right in. Hopefully it'll be an easy swap. The only little hiccup we've got here, and it's not even a huge hiccup, this little bung here is for the oxygen sensors. I don't know if you can see it down here. This is the oxygen sensor. It screws right into the manifold, but these factory short tube headers don't have a bung in them, so that's why we've got this adapter. I want to do as much to this motor as I can while it's still in the car so we can still run it. Every time I change something, I want to be able to fire it up and know I didn't really screw something up. So it would be way easier to change these headers, swap these manifolds for the headers with the motor out of the car, but this way we can guarantee they fit. And even if they don't fit, obviously the front end of this car is bent up a little bit, so we can kind of eyeball what's bent and see, but it should fit fine. And what else? I think that's it. I just, yeah, let's start taking that manifold off. I have soaked these and loosened them and soaked them again with penetrating oil because I was very, very nervous about breaking the bolts off of, breaking the heads off the bolts and getting them stuck in the head of the motor. It shouldn't be a problem. They all came off really loose after soaking them for weeks. So we've got new header bolts here, new Fel-Pro gaskets I ordered from Summit, and this should be a fairly easy, oh gosh, I shouldn't say it should be fairly easy because that's almost like dooms the project right there, but this should go hopefully very smoothly. And yeah, that's it. I don't know if I mentioned this at the start. I've got a crummy little tripod. I've got the GoPro on right now. Just before I started filming, the mount broke on my favorite GoPro tripod that's got all the flexible legs on it and stuff. So I'm working with this funky little tripod stand that's very unforgiving, so we might have some goofy angles and stuff here, so I apologize in advance. Enough talking, let's get to work. I'm gonna get these spark plug wires out of the way, and I'm just gonna mark them just so I know what order they go in. I'm gonna just put 1, 2, and 3 dots on them. I don't want to number them because I'm not sure. I don't remember what the firing order is on here, and I don't want to confuse myself later down the road because I am good at confusing myself sometimes. Should just pop off there. Come on. That came off. This one's being difficult. There we go. Okay, get those up out of the way. And away we go. That's right, that one was a different size. These are all 9/16 and one of them's a 1/2 inch. Change sockets here in just a second. We'll get the rest of these off. Boy, the penetrating oil was the trick right there. That was a lifesaver. Yep, the manifold's already loose. See, we had these adapters put on, or just not even an adapter, just a short piece to get the exhaust down below the car. But in a demolition derby, you don't want long exhaust pipes because they'll get smashed or you know, crimped or whatever, and then the motor will die. But take that out and put our header on. Just gonna do a quick little test fit here. And it, yeah, looks like we're good. It is, you can see how close there it'll get to the steering box, but that's good enough. We're clear there. Good. Got the header fit in here. It's gonna fit, but we have to have a gasket between the header and the head of the motor, and this is kind of cool. So when you put, we're going to put 2 bolts in, one in the front and one in the back here, and then slide this gasket in, and it'll hang on those first two bolts. You can see here there's little ears on both ends, which is really nice because if you tried to fit them through the holes, it would just be a hassle. So thank you, Fel-Pro, for thinking ahead and doing that for us. Yeah, let's do this. I have got a couple of old bolts I saved off the car that those headers came off of. We're going to use these because they've got some studs, and these will fit on there. These are hooks for hoisting the engine out. That's all that is. That's all we're going to use these for here. So go ahead and get the first bolt started. I think. Doing this a little bit blindly here. Okay, those threads are started. Let's just see if we can slide this gasket down in there. Oh man, look at that. Could that have gone any smoother? I don't know. I don't think so. So, let's start putting these other bolts in. And once I get everything bolted up, we'll check back in. Alright, all bolts are in. Let's go ahead and put the spark plugs back on this side. Let's see, this one goes all the way back. It's got two. That one's got one. Alright, so this must be the third one. There we go. Two. I noticed this one's got some damage here, so that does need to be replaced, obviously. We'll put new plugs and wires on this thing before we run it in the station wagon. Okay, now we'll do the other side, and then hopefully we can fire it up and we'll be ready to go. Alright, headers are in on both sides. Everything's hooked back up, oxygen sensors. So all that's left now is, let's see if we can fire this bad boy up. Shut the hood. Gotta go in through the window here. On. Now, the starter solenoid here is no good, so we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way and ground these two across each other. Almost. It runs. Oh, that's all we needed to do was fire it up and hear it run well. That's it for today. I'm sweating like a whore in church. I'm tired. We got the headers installed. The engine still runs. So happy about that. Oh man, that's awesome. That actually went. Remember in the beginning when I said I hate to say this should be easy because it never is. This went pretty easy. So thanks again for hanging out with me while we swapped out these old exhaust manifolds for our short tube headers. And until next time, be excellent to each other.
You know, say it's cousin Ryan on the Hollywood Boulevard. You know, say he bigger than any superstar. All of us spit you some real dope bar. Some them sweeter than any chocolate bar. Boom!